Hey everyone, the Talking Dads podcast is brought to you by Little Scholars Early Learning Center. Whether your family needs infant care, a preschool program, or before and after school care, Little Scholars' highly rated Step Up to Quality programs provide quality early childhood education at an affordable price. Visit www.littlescholars.net to get in contact with an enrollment specialist and schedule a tour of any of their 5 Lake County campuses. Here's the deal. Talking Dads fans are getting a little bonus. Mention that you heard about them through our podcast, and when you tour, and you'll receive $25 off of your registration fee. Again, that's Little Scholars Early Learning Center, where children learn, play, and grow together. We are also brought to you by Pub Fredo Gastropub. Pub Fredo was voted Best Gastropub in Cleveland in 2019 by Cleveland Magazine Silver Spoon Awards. We love Pub Fredo. Their menu is chef-inspired, always pushing the limits of traditional pub fare. The other night I had a burger, I believe it was called the Pub Burger. It was incredible. Cooked perfectly. It was amazing. And you won't have a problem pairing your favorite item on the menu with their great selection of local craft beers, crafted cocktails, and of course, an amazing bourbon and whiskey selection. I went with the Bullet 10-year with my Pub Burger. All of this in a cozy, fun, come-as-you-are atmosphere. You can check them out at pubfredo.com and on Facebook and Instagram at PubFredo Gastropub. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Talking Dads. This week, we did another Zoom meeting. We had Anthony Zalewski, formerly Not My Dad Bod and current genius behind My Dad Tribe. Check him out on the socials. We had a good time talking basically coronavirus. Feel like that's definitely what's leading the conversations these days, but we got into some good stuff about what we're doing with our kids and home life, all that good stuff. And we had a really good conversation. He's a nurse, so we got a little bit into the medical side of it. But no, it was a really good time per the usual. Check it out and enjoy.
In a world where moms continue to dominate parenting authority and a father's role is minimized in society, 2 dads take on the toughest parenting topics on a weekly basis, all while drinking bourbon. They are the Talking Dads.
Well, what's up, guys? Anthony, welcome to Social Distancing Podcast, or what the hell ever. I feel like I
communicate. Dads.
Yeah.
Actually, in honor of that, I was gonna wear this for the.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Beautiful.
You know,
I can't hear shit, and I'm already hyperventilating in that, so that's not going to happen. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever actually, if we've ever gotten into this, but when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a nuclear biological chemical warfare specialist.
Nice.
And so I lived in a gas mask. Now we're a little bit more, a little newer than that one, but none of them are comfortable. And I for like 4 years, that's all I did was do like gas chambers, and so I was the mop gear guy that everyone hated, and until they needed something or until it was time to check out, and they're like, "Dude, I need a mask. I lost mine." I'm like, "No."
Yeah, this is an Israeli gas mask I got on Amazon.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a prepper. I'm like I use it, and honestly, to train.
Yeah.
Because it
restricts oxygen flow.
The resistance when you're breathing in, and all that crap, and it freaks out my neighbors, which is more fun than anything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Especially when I'm swinging a sledgehammer or some crazy shit like that. Yeah, like maniac.
You got a Banff hammer, and you're just a giant Thor hammer you're just running around with in the neighborhood.
Go in the house.
So what you got to do is, because we used to freak people out when we did gas chambers, me and one of the other guys that I used to run the chambers with, is we would be in what we called silkies, which were like the tiny gym shorts that were standard issue. So we would be in just those and gas masks. And I mean, we used to run so many chambers that like we kind of were like impervious to the effects, and yeah, it was hilarious. People when they saw that that's how we were dressed, they were like, "Oh shit, it's strong today. They're really fucking with us."
Oh
Good
man,
times.
old days.
Um,
So
yeah. So this is
here we are. Yeah. So what week would this be of
quarantine.
the quarantine?
I've lost track.
3, 2.
I feel like we've done 2 full weeks, but it's really like a partial
we're
third.
We're in week 3 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is like the main way that we communicate these days, which is strange.
Mm-hmm. It is. Ian, you weren't home for it, but earlier our kids
I know.
used Zoom to talk to each other. We had, was it 4 different families? 2 kids each. Well, 3 kids in one of them, but it was fun, except for the kids just sat in front of the cameras and didn't really talk to each other and just played with their toys. And there was a lot of yelling, and then it turned to crying, and it turned to my son Ben putting himself in timeout because he was upset that something happened. So he like went and sat in timeout and cried, and it ended up the adults were sitting in front of the camera after a while. So it was fun while it lasted.
When I got home, when I got home, I was like, Gibbs, so what'd you do today? He's like, well, I talked to my friends. I'm like, what? How'd you talk to your friends? He goes, through your iPad. I was like, no way, really? He goes, yeah. First, I was just talking to Austin, and then out of nowhere, Sam showed up. I was like, what? So he thought that was super cool.
Yeah, like we don't do a ton of FaceTime usually up until now.
Yeah.
Because like for Ian, I mean, I know you FaceTime with your parents because they're out of state and everything.
Yeah.
But like for me, like we see my parents and Liz's parents all the time, so we never use FaceTime. Now we're FaceTiming with everybody in my family, and my kids are just starting to get used to it now. And like they just kind of stare, like, yeah, they sit there and wave, and then they go off and play. They can't stay and talk to anybody for more than 2 minutes.
It's attention spans. I mean, like, even like you said, like we FaceTime my parents all the time, you know, and if I can get them to stay in front of the camera or the phone for more than a minute, like my parents feel like fulfilled, like, okay, we got our fix of seeing the grandkids. You know what I mean? Because they just don't. Yeah,
it's true. But yeah, it's pretty tough though. This is how we're all hanging out with each other now.
That's
I know our wives have been talking to each other through this with their friends, and this is how we've been communicating with each other, hanging out. This is how it's done now, man. At least we know Ian's wearing pants, so that's a good thing. We don't know that. Well, he did get up.
I did get up before. Okay. Yeah, I had to grab my my new Riff single barrel that I am partaking in this evening. What are you guys drinking?
There you go. Some the Eagle Rare. I was telling Ian, I started out with the black and it's the Metallica limited edition one, and for some reason wasn't feeling it. So this is like my favorite standby is the Larceny.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm getting fancy because I don't know if you guys ever tried these Norland whiskey glasses.
I've seen them. I've never drank out of them, but
they're actually kind of cool. So it's like a double walled thing. So it looks like a regular.
It's like a Glencairn.
Yeah, with it's like a Glencairn inside of a rock glass.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to help increase the flavor and.
Yeah, they're supposed to be pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I mean, looks kind of neat. So
yeah,
absolutely pretty badass.
I like it.
Thank you.
So, Anthony, what's going on in your world? What's going on with my dad tribe? What's going on? And I mean, you're a nurse, so I feel like I know that you're not, I guess, on the front lines, as you would say, but you're still going to work and you're still kind of dealing with this stuff every day, at least more in a capacity than I am, that's for sure. So, what's going on with you?
Well, so the My Dad Tribe stuff is kind of taking a little bit. I'm doing more of the Instagram type posting pictures, and we did the stuff with the Suburban Dad Tribe, the challenges and fitness stuff. So that's kind of fun. It kind of keeps you occupied. I just did a podcast a few weeks ago with my buddy Mike Semick, who is one of these ultra runner jackass people that just running 100 miles sounds like fun. So we were talking about that for a while, and he and I used to play Pee Wee football together, so it was kind of neat to
catch up and some of that shit. So that was cool. And then as far as the other stuff is concerned, yeah, I'm not the frontliner anymore. I don't work in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So, when everybody talks about, it must be hard for you. I'm like, no, I sit in an office all day. I mean, I have to wear a mask because the way that they've set it up is you have to, if you're in a confined space with more than 10 people, they want you to wear a mask, which I have my opinions on all that stuff that's going on right now, but
right.
So it's all right, and it's fine. It does make me appreciate the fact that I'm not doing that, to be honest with you.
Right.
I kind of work my way out of that, and I know people, and I have friends that are doing it, and I feel for them, and I'm worried about what they're getting into. My perspective on this is one where, like, we're, for UH that I work with, and every hospital is doing it. They're all preparing for the worst. So I get to be part of that plan, and it's kind of scary if the shit really hits the fan the way that everybody's modeling this out that it could. If it really got bad, it's going to be pretty scary. Just the amount of people. I mean, just the way that New York sounds is insane, the way that they're talking. But honestly, if you look at the numbers and you look at, I mean, I was never a data guy too much until I got this job. But if you look at how it's panning out and how Ohio's website has the projected one where if it's without the social isolation and now with, and we're so far under those thnumbers with the new cases and even the deaths and that stuff, it sucks, but it's realistic.
Right.
So I think it's working. I think what we're doing is definitely working. It's inconvenient for a lot of people, but the one thing that I think, I forget who said it. It's like, look, if you're sitting around your house and you're pissed off and you don't get sick, then it worked,
Yeah.
Right.
It's trying to keep the kids busy, trying to find shit to do with them and make sure that they're occupied. And, we're always looking at stuff to eat and, make sure we want to go out and eat or not go out to eat, but, patronize places that we can, if we can do that stuff too. And but yeah, I mean, it's scary because it's like this shit, nothing's happened like this before. And you watch all the movies, and I put Jody, my wife, in front of Contagion, and she got through like 15 minutes. She's like, "Fuck you, I'm out of here." And it's like, oh, this is worst case. But then you look at it and you're like, I mean, it's not that, but things can get pretty severe if you get it. And you look at New York, and we were looking at the numbers, and I think, we're over 1 million people infected now, and like almost 10% of those are in New York. 10% of the world's infected population is New York, and I don't understand it. I mean, I don't know if it's just because it's just everybody's on top of each other there, or crazy shit that was going on there. It sucks, but it's like unbelievable how it just keeps getting worse there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean, New York, man, they literally, I mean, that's the lifestyle there, right? Like, you have to, I guess, enjoy or want to be in that kind of lifestyle where you're literally living on top of each other, and everybody walks or everywhere or takes the subway or whatever. And just the numbers are just so much more drastic than anywhere else in America. I mean, even like Los Angeles isn't that condensed. You know what I mean? Chicago's not even close. You know what I mean? Like all these other major big cities just aren't what New York are. So it's not. I shouldn't say it's not surprising. I guess what I should say is I'm not. I'm not like taken aback by it. Like it sucks. Like the numbers are just insane. But I mean I don't know what you could do. I mean that's the problem with these super urban areas, right?
I mean, those people. This is like all the people coming in there. Like you said, like New York, that's the lifestyle there, right? I mean, that's the way of travel. Like everything's done by subway and everything. You know what I mean? Like people are just walking. You've been there before. Walk down the streets there, and it's like, I mean, not now. Now it's like,
well, right.
I don't even know. I mean, is it all completely shut down now?
I don't know.
I think if you look at some of the pictures and stuff, it's definitely
from what you see.
But, it's also that's a major point of entry for anywhere people come in.
That's another
anywhere
good
coming
point,
on this
yeah.
side, they usually come through New York.
Yep, exactly.
It's all tourists too,
Right.
not all, but international. And you could have had people flying in and out of there for months before anything got
Sure.
sick that were all infected,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
nobody would have known about it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's insane, man. Like, I remember a couple weeks ago, Steve, actually, you came over here. We did a podcast, and like COVID-19 was a thing, but it wasn't. There was no shelter or stay-at-home order. There was no social distancing. I think was just becoming a term that we were using on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And
that was like right at the beginning of it, because we came over with the kids and
yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that.
You know what I mean? I think that all of us are, we weren't like dismissing it. Like we knew it was a big deal, but we were like, oh, well, we're in our own little bubble here. Like we're
exactly
fine. And here we are, 2 weeks later, and just how drastically things have changed,
well, even if you look at from where it started, I think that because I had to write a paper for school we were talking about this shit, because actually it's funny, I'm in an epidemiology class, which is hilarious.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
It's actually really funny. But, from the time that this first came, the first case in Ohio was like beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
So, 1, 2 diagnosed beginning of March, and now look where you're at, where there's over 1,000, 1,200, whatever cases, or, cases that are hospitalized and the whatever number that there is now that's actually infected.
Yeah, I stopped even looking at the numbers.
I don't like about it that I think that the media doesn't do a good job of is I think that the vast majority of people think that if you're diagnosed with it, that means that tomorrow you're going to be on a ventilator in a unit.
Right.
Instead of there's 70% of the people that have it are at home.
Right.
And that's and then even with that, even to those people, I think it's like 10% or something or whatever are actually in ICUs. So it's unfortunate because you get sick real quick when you get real sick, but I wish they did a better job of kind of highlighting the people who are kind of, at home and like saying, yeah, this sucks. This was like 2 weeks of shit. I felt like dog shit for 2 weeks, but I'm better now, and whatever, and highlight those so people actually feel like there's like some layer of hope to this.
Exactly. I mean, there's a few. They're few and far between. Like when you see that stuff, like on social media, like you don't see it really on the news too often, like the good news, right? Mm-hmm. Like you said. But then, like we've talked about before, like that's not the kind of stuff that sells, though. For me,
well, that's true. That's it.
Right? I mean, anything that people typically post is, or like anything the news says is typically something that's negative, and that's what sells. That's what people want to watch. Everybody's all about doom and gloom, right? I mean, it's just like that's the story that you want to watch. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, Anthony, you posted, I think it was you posted something a couple days ago, maybe, that it was like the number of people that have recovered. Was that you that did that, or was that somebody else?
I posted a few different things. I'm not sure if that was exactly.
It was just like, how about let's report on this and how I can't remember what the number was.
People have actually recovered. Either they've run through, they've tested negative, or they've had it and they're home and not. I think that they need to do a better job of showing that part of it too. Yeah. Just to give people an idea of not everybody. I mean, you have to have people have to take it seriously, which I think people are.
Oh yeah,
and especially I think here in Ohio, and talking to friends that live in other states and kind of what they're doing. But I think that, and this is not a political driven thing, DeWine, I think, is doing a really good job of kind of being proactive. And I think, he might be pissing people off on some of the closures and stuff he's doing, but I think people are kind of really living with, this is pretty serious. So, but at the same time, I think you have to also look at, there's both sides of it. Look, there's this many people are sick. Yes, it's killing people. I mean, I don't want to get into an argument with somebody about who says, well, the flu killed X amount of people. Like, that's totally different. Let's talk about something else. But there are also people that have recovered and are home and are well. And I mean, there are people, they're not all young people. I was reading something, some guy that's like 102 years old, and he like survived the Spanish flu, and then he survived
this.
Like,
dude's a badass.
He survived it. That's
pretty
amazing.
That's like make a big deal out of that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an awesome story. So now I looked it up. So it says, and I don't know how accurate this is. It says coronavirus cases, view by country. So it's like 1,200,000. Then it says deaths 64,000. So is this by the U.S.?
No.
What's the death toll in the U.S. right now?
I don't. It's what I was going to say is I've actually stopped looking at the numbers. Like for the first week, I was
recovered is 246,000 people recovered. Right. So compared to deaths like that, I mean, it's huge. So
yeah. Well, because I look at I had the Ohio one. So there's 3,739 cases confirmed.
Yeah.
Of that, there's 1,000 people in the hospital, and there's 100 deaths. So, I mean, you're talking again. That's percentage-wise, it's not
right.
The numbers look good, but I mean, if you look at other states, and I think Ohio was like 16th in the country, and as far as number of infected, so that's pretty damn good as far as I mean.
Especially given our population.
Numbers here, there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it like it's it's like everyone's kind of around that 3,000. Then you get up, and then there's New York is like, that shit crazy numbers.
Yeah, I mean, and the crazy thing is too, like it doesn't seem like it's real to you until it's around you. So like when we went to Arizona in what was that, January?
Yeah.
Last week in January.
Yeah.
So at that point it was in China, obviously, and then like there was supposedly cases like. In Arizona, they said there was a case. So we're like, oh, shit, we're going to be flying in Arizona. Like kind of thinking about it, but not really even worried at all. And then now you look at it today, and we got Lake West, the Lake West Hospital right here has got, I don't know how many patients there that have it. You have Lake County has how many cases, and Cleveland, and it's like, shit, man, it's like it's right in our backyard. So it's a lot more scary. So, I mean, none of us had to live through anything like this before to where everything's shut down. Right. Like, and you're afraid of everybody, man. Like, you go to a store, you're afraid to be around anybody. Like, I don't want to touch anything. If someone's walking towards me, I'm dodging. I'm getting, like, 20 feet away from them.
Yep.
Well, and I think some of that is just people are just, pardon me for saying this, but people are fucking stupid with some of this stuff and the way they, walking around grocery stores wearing gloves and you're touching all kinds of shit. And it's like, you do realize that you're just moving whatever's on your gloves from whatever you touched the last time to this, and then you're picking your phone up and all this other crap. Like, that's not really doing anything. If you're just concerned about protecting yourself, then just wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Yeah. That's why they say your best gloves are your hands.
Right.
So wash your hands.
There's so much education that could happen with this that people just need to take the time to learn, and not from Dr. fucking Google. They need to actually look at legitimate sites that or legitimate sources that are going to give you real information.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of information, though, and again, kind of going back to how mainstream media has, really only talking about the negatives, or like the clickbait, right? Like the tragic numbers and things that sell. One thing that I will say is here in 2020, it's kind of nice having other options, right? Like,
to not only watch the news.
Right. Like, I listen to podcasts all the time, and it's kind of refreshing to be able to have unfiltered, I guess, accounts of what is going on. And these are professionals talking, that it's not stopping every 9 minutes for a commercial. So, like, you at least don't have the sense that this is all marketing driven or that there's an agenda somewhere. And now maybe there is, and maybe there is to some degree, but it seems like, to me at least, the information that I'm trying to take in is, from professionals who are working in the field, and they are giving facts, and of course they're going to give their opinions on, and most of the opinions come on like their opinions of the administration or how the CDC is doing or how, whatever. And that's fine. You take those with a grain of salt because that's somebody's opinion, but it's nice to get facts and some science behind it, because it at least makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's kind of neat too is, and you know, you guys were talking about it with just FaceTiming and the Zooms and stuff like that. Is, you know, could you imagine having to go through this
with a house
20
phone
years ago, you know, or whatever?
Right.
Where it's like, you know, we barely had cell phones, or we never had this kind of stuff. You know, it's like, or what people were doing in 1918 when they were just trying to figure shit out. With they learned about it probably weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
Or you didn't, you know, when you're sick, you're like, I don't know. And there's no information, and it's not even about news, but it's like the fact that I can have a FaceTime with my in-laws, so my kids get to see their grandparents, because we know they're not going to see them face to face, and it's, you know, and being able to do this, where it's like technology has given us this great gift, so we're lucky in a sense to be able to have to do what we have.
Man. That's for sure. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, to be able to just hang out with you guys right now, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a conversation with some adults, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Weird. It's definitely cool. And again, I kind of go back to what I've said since the beginning is, at the end of the day, if all we're stuck with is minor inconveniences, put that into perspective of how lucky we are and how grateful we should be for, you know, being able to go meet up at a restaurant, or, you know, like all that, those kind of stuff that we took for granted, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I know I did.
Well, and absolutely, because we can go out and do whatever the hell you want whenever you want. You can go hang out with a big crowd. You could go to it's Saturday, maybe we'll go to the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Go bump into 60 people I don't know and just be within.
We go to Chuck E. Cheese with the kids, or the arcade, you know, whatever.
An arcade or something.
Yeah, and I told Joe that I was telling my wife today. I said, you know, this experience, a couple things that I've taken out of it so far. One, there's a lot of things that I take for granted, even with eating. And we're like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, there's like 5 or 6 places that I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of sitting down and eating an actual meal from them, because I miss it, and I'll appreciate it a little bit more. And just some of the stuff you get to do that you can't now, you know, like a concert or something like that, where it's like, normally I'd be like, I don't like people enough to sit around and be bumped around in, but you're like, I'd appreciate a little bit more.
Right.
To be able to sit in an environment where it is more people.
Sports.
And you can enjoy, sporting. I mean, I like sporting events anyway.
Right.
Just the whole point of, you know, you're out and. You know,
right.
For sure, man.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
think about it this way too: is like when it actually does go back to normal, knowing that we don't know where this is going to go, right? You don't know when it's going to come back or what have you. So it's like when you are able to go to a sporting event again, or you're able to go do something again. Like, how nervous are people going to be to be around a ton of people again? Like, just with that fear in the back of your mind of it.
I think it'll take people about 7 minutes.
Well, I was going to say, there's going to be one or two ways. You're going to have the people who are just going to stay ultra safe because they are worried about that. And then you have the other end of it who are probably now doing it to some extent, but only what they can, but are like just going bananas.
I'll be dying to go to like an Indians game or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll be that where I'll like, all right, I just, you know, just make sure you know what you're doing, but get out there and just be smart when you're there. I mean, be vigilant about where you're at, watch your surroundings, and be smart about it. But you can't live in total fear of it. And
I guarantee a lot of people will.
Now.
Well, I guess it depends too on how it clears up, right? Like how we get back to normal. Is it that the number of cases new cases have drastically dropped, and so we're thinking that it's more of a seasonal thing, or is it, hey, there's, you know, some kind of treatment? You know, I hear all these things about different kinds of treatments that are being tested right now to see the viability of a long-term solution, and that's both in a vaccine form and as a antiviral, right. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think it could be different if there's like, hey, if you do get it, it's not the end of the world, we can treat you. I think people will be very quick to go back to normal.
Something, exactly. When there's something that you have backup for,
right?
Like, you know, okay, I know I could be cured or whatever, taken care of, treated. What was that?
Chloroquine.
Chloroquine.
or
or
Yeah,
whatever.
quinine, yeah.
Yeah. I heard something.
Not the shit that's gonna get put in a fish tank though.
Yeah.
How dumb can you be?
Good. Take the second to
apparently-
Google.
Like, and I feel
He's a
really
great
bad saying
fucking
that. No, you know what? I don't. I don't feel bad saying that because
Dude, there's people that were drinking bleach.
Whatever that miracle. It basically was. It doesn't surprise me as a problem. Is that it doesn't surprise me that people do that, and again, I'm not politically aligned with one or another, so I'm not excusing anything that the president's saying. But if anybody blames shit that they did and drinking or whatever that they did, those people in Arizona did, because of him and 5 seconds of what he said on television, then you're dumb, and that's your problem for going and doing that.
Do some research, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not. Oh, this looks cool.
This looks close enough.
Tank. I can
Close enough, probably fine.
Starts with chlor.
just give it a shot.
But they're saying like that chloroquine and like mixed with even with the like zithromycin, like a Z-Pack.
Yeah, Z-Pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that. So again, I was listening to it was a Joe Rogan podcast, and I can't remember the guest's name, but he was a researcher for I want to say it was Baylor University School of Medicine or something like that, and apparently he's done a lot with on a national scale in terms of vaccinations and it was called like tropic medicine or something like that.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. I think I saw because I was going through the podcast the other day. I think I saw his name.
Well, that's where the quinolone stuff is for malaria. That's
right.
A treatment for malaria, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
And the other thing it does is it's an immunity for people like with rheumatoid arthritis and rheumatoid issues. So that's the big scare now is people who have these immune issues and these inflammatory issues who take this regularly and it helps them. They're all worried that everyone's going to just eat up all the supply of it.
Oh,
They're not going to have it. And that was part of what I know Ohio said it. They're like, look, we have to make sure that the people who rely on this drug for what they're doing it for now, those people are guaranteed that they're going to get their medication. This other stuff, it's not even proven yet. If we figure out a way to make it work, then you do. But
well, it's not like people would go out and hoard a bunch of it.
I don't think you can't even do it unless for some reason you had like a physician who was, on the take and writing prescriptions left and right and trying to get you extra shit. But
no, I guess I was just making a joke. Like people don't go out and buy,
oh no, yeah,
42 cases of toilet paper or anything.
No, that doesn't happen. What, are you kidding me?
It was funny.
Something on the news today. They said that the farmers in Ohio are having to dump their milk because the stores because everybody was hoarding shit. So then the stores were saying you can only buy 1 gallon of milk per person, and now they can't sell all their milk. I'm like, so then just buy the rest of the milk. Just like this has got to be an easier thing.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like too difficult of an equation.
Well, a way better solution. Well, I'm not seeing it.
It's crazy, man. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
well, speaking of Rogan, he brought up the other day, I forget who he was talking to, and talking about different illnesses, and he's always big on vaccinations, right? He's always talking about like how important it is to get your flu shots every year, and like that something like this will definitely help people to realize that you should definitely start getting your vaccinations. I mean, you guys get your flu shots. I mean, Anthony, I'm sure you have to at work.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't have to anymore. I used to when I worked in the hospital. I have to walk around with a mask all the time, so it was like just easier to do it. I think I was one of these people that for a while was like, I don't know, it's gonna put all this shit and I'm gonna get sick. And then my wife's like, stop it, you idiot, just take the shot. And you think about it, and then it becomes more about I don't want my kids to get sick.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm more worried about is my kids than me.
That's when I started doing it again. I stopped getting my flu shot for a long time until I had my kids, and then I started getting them all the time. So, and it does make a difference. I'll be honest. I mean, I used to just think I'm like, oh, I'm getting a sinus infection every year, and it's not a big deal. But I was actually getting the flu every year. I was getting like the upper respiratory infections every single year. And then now that I've got my flu shot every year, I don't get them anymore. So that was the flu I was getting.
I was listening to something and it said a good way to tell whether or not a vaccine has worked for you is, did you die?
Good point.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I mean, so like the way that I understand it, at least, is it's not like a vaccine is going to prevent you from getting a virus, right? But if you already have the antibodies built up to fight it,
it helps you.
Then you are going to experience severely lower levels of symptoms
because they don't have every strand.
So you might still get something. But
that's how this is all this shit happens. So most of the time when you get a vaccination, it's an attenuated virus. So it's either like a partially dead or it's some form of the virus that's just a piece of it that your body doesn't recognize, so it attacks it. But it already has a memory to it that says, I recognize this shit. I've already got it built up because of the years that we've had flu.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it slowly builds up, so your immune system knows. But that's why this is a novel virus, is because
it's new.
Ozzy Osbourne motherfucker ate a bat and then decided to, all this other shit happened. So we've never seen it before. So the body was like, I don't know what the fuck this is. What the deal is with this at all? I don't know what to do. So that's why people were ramping. It was like I got it, and then all of a sudden you're in the ICU. For some of these people that have their immune systems are all jacked up. Some people who have a pretty healthy immune system, regardless, are fighting it off, in a different way. But I think that was my question too, is, what is this going to do for the anti-vaxxers? Is it going to be like, okay, well, maybe we need to think about this a little differently?
Well, there's
that steadfast that, no, it is what it is. I'm not going to put that shit in my kid. And
right. Well, there's that meme going around, right? Like, hey, anti-vaxxers, you want a world without vaccinations. Here's the world without one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That doesn't.
It's so difficult, like, on that topic. And again, not to get political, but I guess that's not really a one side or the other thing. But still, I have a very hard time telling people that they have to do something.
Right.
I guess the optimist in me wants everyone to make the right choice based on facts and evidence, and I feel like people should be able to not only seek out information, but then once given the information, be able to make a rational choice. And I totally recognize that my rationale is different than your guys's and different than everyone else, because we all go off of our own experiences and whatever. But this doesn't seem that difficult.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, what was it that was coming? Was it the measles or smallpox?
Yeah, it was smallpox, wasn't it? No.
Smallpox,
yeah.
I think it was smallpox. Yeah.
Ramping up again because people weren't getting vaccinated for it. It's like, hey, idiots, this hasn't been around for the last however many years because we had vaccinations. Why the hell do you think it's coming back? Because you idiots listen to Jenny. I'm not even going to get into it, really. But you know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Well, and I kind of side with you even on, and this is kind of the way I always was in nursing, was I'm not going to tell somebody, I'll discharge people and go over instructions and say, this is what you should do, and this is what the instructions say, and, you can give them the information, but in the end, you're an adult, you have to make a decision. And I try to give people enough information so that they make an informed decision. If they choose to do something, then they have to be able to come to grips with the fact that those consequences are a direct result of what their decisions are. Mm-hmm. Right. I think that's part of the problem that we have not just in this country, but in general, is people are not willing to accept that particular part of it because they say they want someone to make a decision for them, because if they make the wrong decision, they can blame that person.
They don't want to be held accountable. But right. I think with vaccines, it goes a step further though, because I'm accountable for your decisions.
Yeah.
Because look at Steve, like Ben was in the hospital for the first 2 months. He was not able to get his baby vaccines, or I think I'm saying that correctly, but like he's caught up now or whatever it is, but like immunocompromised, however you say that. But like that's not his fault.
Right.
So why is it that his kid being exposed to somebody else's kid, now it's not, you don't have to, these people don't have to take responsibility for their own actions. They have to take responsibility for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, because you never know. Like
Like,
you're
it's
sending kids to school,
right.
right? I mean,
Right.
I mean, it's we
people
versus
in
me,
danger.
right? We versus me is what I've been saying quite a bit now. Is like, okay, is my luxury or my um my I guess luxury to be stupid or to make a poor choice, is that more important than the we?
Right. Well, I mean, this is a prime example of what's happening right now. Not everybody walking around right now has coronavirus, obviously.
Right.
I think that if you actually, when they can test for the titers, which is the evidence that you've had the infection in some point, more people will have had it than actually think they've had it. But you can still be carrying it around and never get sick. And that's why they're talking about the stuff with the masks and everything now, where if you're going to go in these areas and people are like, well, I'm not going to wear a mask because I don't think I'm going to get sick. And it's like, but it's not just about you. You have to think about other people. And
Well,
if you're going to be that selfish, then that's where the problem is.
Well, isn't the mask thing, isn't that mostly to protect from you spreading, not from you contracting?
So if you think about the two kind of masks they talk about, one is the surgical mask, which is like the real simple square paper mask.
Anything over your face. Right.
Any kind of fabric. And then the N95 it's fitted. So we, like when we were nurses, every year we have to get fitted for them. Like I couldn't wear with this.
Right.
I couldn't wear, and I'd have to wear what they call a papper, which is those big hoods that they have on like the when the contagion and all that shit.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't sealing. Those masks actually seal around your face.
Right.
Because it stops things from getting in, and it's built so it's filtered, which these paper masks or the fabric, none of that shit has filters.
Right.
It's not they're not small enough. And you're talking about microscopic organisms. So if I'm walking around wearing a mask in a store, the premise of that is I'm more concerned about if I cough or whatever and it's going to get out than if, then Betty in aisle 5 walks over and is going to cough on me. Because if she coughs on me and I wear that, pretty good chance I'll still get something.
Right.
Yeah, just because of the way that it's not perfect. It's not a good mask. It's not a good seal.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people have a misconception about, oh, well, if I put a mask on, I'm safe. And it's like, no, you're not.
Right.
But if it gets people to think about it a little bit more, and I think that was the other thing about that they were trying to get people to not wear masks for, because they thought that was the alternative to hand washing. And so people were like, I'm wearing a mask. I don't have to wash my hands. It's like, yeah, you do. You still have to wash your hands. Like, just wash your hands in general. Why this is a new concept for people, I don't get.
Seriously,
wash your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me on that one, too, because, in childcare, like, when I'm in and out of the daycares, I am washing my hands so incredibly much. Yeah. Like just all the time. And I'm using hand sanitizer and everything else. But if I'm being completely honest, like, up until this whole thing, at home, I mean, unless I was going to the bathroom or getting ready to eat, like, I wasn't washing my hand. I mean, there would be how many times, would I wipe my kid's nose and, like, then I get distracted. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I look back on that stuff and I'm like, now if that happened, I'm like, scrub up. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, yes, I think that there is a large portion of the population that is just like, they just don't wash their hands, which is scary for sure. But I think for the rest of us, I think it's a good reminder of like, oh, like, let's really think. And you know what? Actually, I was reading a couple nights ago. I was reading this book. It's called "What Are Germs," and it's to my kids or whatever. And like, I'm reading this, I'm like, holy shit, man! This is like, everyone should be reading this right now. like, because it just lists off every single time that you should wash your hands, and what are vaccines, and how do you make them, and how do you change things, and everything else, and like. I don't know. It'd be really educational for everyone.
Well, and you know what? The funny thing too that I noticed with my kids that I have to correct them on, and I don't know if it's something that I feel bad if I taught them this, because I don't think I did, is the put soap on your hands and then put them under the water and do this, and you're like, you just wash the soap off. Yeah. You're not doing anything. Like you have to. Yeah. Right. You can get your hands wet, put the soap on, and then do all that shit with the water. You don't even have the water running at that point.
Yep. And then put it under.
Get all that, and then
wash it off.
Put your hands under the water to rinse the soap off, because And I think I've seen adults do it. You're like, okay, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
20 seconds is with the soap away from the water. Get going.
Right.
Then wash it off.
Right.
Yeah.
But
my kids are the worst with that, man.
Yeah. And maybe this is part of it. Maybe this is one of the things that people start paying attention to. And
Which is
there's
a
so
good
many
thing.
other things that we can take away from this particular thing about how, things have the whole, we're going to be different people when we come out of this. And I think it might be a good thing for the most part if people are learning something or taking something away from it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I agree.
Definitely. So go
okay.
ahead, Steve.
Good.
No, you.
No.
No.
I was going to go back into more flu stuff, so go ahead, whatever you're going to do.
I guess I was just going to transition a little bit. So, Anthony, you said that you're working and you're mostly in an office space now, but is your schedule normal? Like you're working full time?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, no, my schedule hasn't changed. So my job, what I normally do on any given day, is making sure that patients are transferred from one hospital to another, or they're placed in the right beds and stuff like that. I kind of oversee all that, which right now it's kind of funny. It doesn't, like, the hospitals are not as busy right now in general. And this is even talking to people who are in different hospitals, because this is one of those weird side effects that's going to change as soon as this shit clears up. People are staying out of the hospitals. They're staying out of the EDs. They're not going in for that stupid thing. Their physicians are not saying, hey, just go to the emergency department. I got time for it, or whatever, because everybody's worried. So people are staying home.
Mm-hmm.
And I really doubt that in 3 months or whenever this is totally to where people can get out, someone's going to go, my toe hurt really bad and I was going to go to the ED, but I didn't because of the corona. But now that the corona is not there, I should probably still not do this thing. They're going to be like jumping right back into their old routines.
Right.
Yeah.
But part of the other thing that I'm doing now is this whole stuff with preparing for a surge, which, like I said, that's the other thing that I get to do now that's scary if the shit really hits the fan. Because if it does happen the way these models happen, then it's like it's going to be a whole different world here in this area. That's why they're talking about like the stuff with the IX Center and all these places looking for alternate sites for hospitals. And so I'm kind of torn because I see things as they are now and how it's going on right now. And I'm like, it's not as bad as it could be. But if the surge does happen, I feel really comfortable about this area is really ready for it.
That's awesome.
Like, hospitals in general, all three of the big hospitals in this area are really like they're working together. Everybody's got a plan. They kind of have an idea of how we're going to kind of stem the tide of all these people coming in. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. But I still go to work every day, and we get our temperature checked at the door, and they ask us some questions, and it's like part of the thing now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is since your kids are home, is your wife working?
Yeah, so we actually were blessed with the fact that, so my wife works 4 days a week. She works Monday through Thursday anyway, and she's essential too. She's, even though it's not hitting kids as much.
Right.
She's
those kids need
she's
care.
Clinical, so they have to have her there.
Yeah.
So we've always had someone that came to our house to watch our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it was either between my couple days my family watches, and a couple days we actually have someone that we come in and we have watch kids. So that hasn't changed, which is nice. I do know that the thing that has changed is the fact that they come home and they're like, yeah, we were sat around at home today. And I'm like, get used to that shit, because that's not going to change.
Right.
So you try to make them as occupied as you can. And then they're not going to school is another thing, that they were used to going to preschool and they were excited to see all that. And we have friends across the street, so it was, getting to see the kids across the street. So it's like trying to understand them. But now it's funny because every time we talk about, you can't do this, and my kids are like, because of the virus, right? I'm like,
yeah.
It's amazing how much they learn.
They understand it.
They get it.
Yeah. They don't like it, but they get it.
They don't, but they do. Like my son Sam understands. Like we have a playground by our house, and I'm like, playground's closed, but he's like, yeah, because everybody's sick. We're like, yeah, and he's like, he gets it. But my other son, the playground's taped off. Like there is caution tape around all the playgrounds, and Ben is still running at the playground. I'm like, buddy, we have to stay over in like this open field where we're allowed to be. We can't go over there.
Right.
Like, which actually would probably be fine because no one's touching it. So if no one's there, you could probably go play on it.
Yeah.
But no, we're not going near anything. It's crazy. Like, we go to that North Chagrin reservation, and they have like my kids love there's like a big snake that they can climb on. Like,
I love that thing. Like, all my kids, yeah.
Yeah, and then even the bridge, like the docks and everything.
Right.
Everything's taped off completely. Like, you can't go. Like, Sam's like, I want to go see the snake. I'm like, well, buddy, that's closed. He goes, okay, I want to see the frogs. That's closed. He's like, can we go on the bridge? I'm like, bridge is closed. Like, we can't. There is nowhere. Like, you can still go to these places, but you can't. It's very limited. I mean, thank God they haven't shut down like the metro parks and things like that. Because
but I'm worried about the fact that people like you got to be able to get outside. But if you look, some people are posting pictures about there's like 20 cars in the parking lot and there's all these big groups at the park, and it's like, but you guys are still missing the point.
Exactly. So what we were doing, like that one section, there's like 20 cars over there. So I'm like, I told Liz, I'm like, let's just walk away from everybody. Let's just go down this way over here. Like, if you see groups, we avoid them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's. And you see other people doing the same thing. Like, if they're walking towards you, they're like, they just beeline it. They go away the other way. And, like, so then there's some people that just don't care. And they're, like, walking, like, right at you. You're like,
so, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So it's crazy, man. It's just like, it's a whole nother world right now. But, like you said before, trying to keep the kids busy, trying to come up with activities. I don't know. The whole school thing, I worry that, like, they're so used to just being at home with mom and dad every day. It's like, when we have to send them back again, like,
it is, man.
They might be excited. I don't know what it's going to be like.
Friday, my kids had a Zoom meeting with the class. The teacher was like, we're going to get everybody. And you guys were talking before we actually started about when you had a FaceTime or a Zoom with all the kids, and it was like just mass chaos, and the kids were like, and that's what my wife was like, yeah, so my kids were like, all the kids were talking at once. So it was like trying to control that. And then everybody was like running and showing toys on the thing. Like, look what I got. And you're like,
yeah,
okay.
Well, that's worked out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think, I don't know. Maybe the younger kids it might be easier for them to kind of just jump back in because they're going to be so excited to get into that. And Ian, you might have more insight on how that might work, but I don't know. For like my kids, I'm like, they love the time, but I think at the same time, I think they definitely have talked about what they miss.
So we always have this thing in preschool or childcare centers where we always talk about, well, there's two things. It's always like the vacation effect and then the grandma effect. Like, when kids are off for like an extent, like 4 or 5 days, whether it's, winter break or, there's whatever it is, like somebody went on vacation or whatever, like when they come back, it's the grandma effect. Oh, so-and-so's definitely been with grandma for a few days because they just want to be held, or, which is great. Or it's the vacation effect where, okay, we got to readjust. Usually we have to deal with that with like one, maybe two kids in a class at a time. And this is going to be very interesting. I know we were talking about it on Friday. Like, one of the things that we want to do as a team is, all right, how do we combat this? Because it's not like they're going to say, hey, daycares can open, and then we're going to open and we're just going to go into like Monday morning circle time and just do a regular class. You know what I mean? Like these kids have absorbed all of this information and have been told these, to some degree, scary like things, right? And so we've been trying to come up with ways that we can make it fun. I mean, again, this is not one of those things where you can go to YouTube or find a book from some famous author, children's author, that says, here's what we do after coronavirus. You know what I mean? Like, this hasn't happened before.
Right.
I mean, a lot of what teaching, especially with the young kids, is repeating what has happened before, right? It's just like the repetition of it and trying to, parallel like old situations versus to what's going on now. And it's just like we don't have that data. We don't have that info to replicate. And so we're trying to come up with some things on our own. And It's a lot of it is, and I think this goes for parents too, is just trusting your kids that they know more than we want to give them credit for, and talking to them. Even
Yeah.
a 3 or 4 year old, you can sit down and talk about it with, and yeah, they might not retain everything, but they'll be able to comprehend more than you think. And
Yeah.
I think that's important for us to do, as parents, so that way when these kids go back to school, it's not, we've already lost so much valuable time.
Mhm.
Um, and I wonder what that's going to do to the education system when it does come back. You know what I mean?
Overall,
Because
I mean, you think it like what? So summer break starts usually what, in June,
yeah,
right? It's just for all the kids, right?
right,
So then you start summer because I mean, odds are they're probably not going back to school this year,
right.
right?
I would
Most
assume
likely.
so, but
So I mean, who knows? We don't
right,
know. But say it goes from now till you're out of school through summer break, and then you go back to school in August.
yep.
That's a long ass break
It's
from
huge.
school. Like
6 months.
for kids, like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's 6 months.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And it's not so much that they're missing out on it, if they're doing school at home, but they're missing out on that structure of school to then have to
Yeah.
relearn that whole thing.
I mean,
Exactly,
school at
especially for
home is
kids.
great just to kind of keep up on some concepts, but
Right.
I mean, look, I've had to teach preschool classes before, and I'm still struggling like crazy going through these lessons with my kid. Like, it's not easy for parents to do.
No. And then I mean, okay, so also kids act differently at school than they do at home.
100%.
Like so,
100%.
like my kids, I know from what the teachers report to me, and I don't know if it's because I know the owner of the daycare and they're just lying to me saying my kids are good, but I from what I'm told, they are great there. And I'm like, that's awesome because they're assholes at home. So I don't know, so I'm like, I'm dying for them to be back in that structured those classes where they're they have some type of someone else telling them what to do. That's someone that's not me or Liz. Like
it's a huge thing.
It is huge, and that's what I worry about. I'm like, how are they gonna like? I mean, I guess for the younger kids it might be easier.
They're resilient. They will. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time, and I think that's on us and other educators. It doesn't matter what level. Is all right. How do we read our kids and say this is the type of transition that's needed, right? Because some kids are going to take longer. Some kids are going to take quicker. You'd be quicker at transitioning. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Well,
I think patience is going to be the key word.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
Everybody's going through the same shit, right? This
right.
Is like the whole. Everybody's going through the same thing, and it's gonna be interesting what happens and see how it all turns out. But I mean, you figure, and then you start thinking about the kids in school that are making the jump from their senior year of high school.
Yeah,
now they're going to be going to college, or I mean, it's just like the whole. The sports, you're missing a half a year basically of school. So I mean, I don't know how that how they're gonna make up for that. Like I know there was jokes about kids like having to go back another year or something like that at school or whatever. But I mean, it doesn't seem that far fetched at the same time. I mean, you're not missing half a year. I mean, you're missing like a quarter of.
Well, you're missing a significant amount of time. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Well, and again, it's do we? So there's a couple of different ways to do it, right? Like there again, going back to this time that we're in and where we have some technology, like there's ways to get information out. I guess the question is do we say that's good enough?
It's something.
Because it's something versus nothing. But again, I think the problem with that theory is that every kid is so different. And again, it doesn't matter what age. Every kid is so incredibly different. And so, I mean, they have different home lives. They have different access to technology. It's not like we can say, hey, go to the library and log on. Right. I mean, there's lots of kids out there that don't have the access or the tools to participate in distance learning, so
I've heard that from like people that are teachers saying like they're having problems because there's some parents that are not able to get their kids onto a laptop to get into the class. Or
right.
Like they don't know how to, or they can't figure it out, or they don't have the internet or you know what I mean? Like it's every
Well,
household is different.
Yeah, I mean it's at all levels too. I mean, for example, I know with my staff, like we do, I think it's 30 hours a year of continuing education that they have to do, and it's all courses that are related to their field. So, infant toddler teachers, they're doing classes that are specific to 1 and 2 year olds, and then so on and so forth. And so we're trying to figure out, okay, well, let's all make sure let's double up on our hours while we're off. They're still getting paid. So I'm trying to figure out constructive things to improve themselves, and then in turn improve, make sure that we're ready as a company when we all come back. And I mean, a lot of these girls, they don't have laptops, and this, we just figured out that you can't use a cell phone to do these classes. Like, it doesn't work on mobile browsers.
Right. Oh, really?
And I'm like, well, shit, this is something really, really constructive that we could do and easy and, but yeah, so we're working around it, you know what I mean? We're trying to figure out how we can, maybe, I don't know, we're coming up with different ideas and we'll see how it works, but,
I mean, that's everything. I mean, every business, you go down the line of all these businesses, right? I mean, you have for my company, we're still business as usual. Like for what we're doing, we still have people working, and everything seems to be okay. But then you start to think of the small businesses, look at downtown Willoughby, for example. They're the small boutiques and things like that. Retail stores, malls.
Mm-hmm.
How do they bounce back from this? I mean, you think Amazon was huge before,
right?
Yeah.
Right? You think DoorDash and all these different places, mobile orders for anything was big. This is a way of life now.
Yeah.
These places are going to be thriving, and then you're like, okay, well, when everything opens up, what are the malls going to look like? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already struggling as it is, right?
It's tough, man. And there's definitely programs out there for small businesses. There's some loan options out there that are either super low interest or they're in some cases even forgivable, in an effort to make sure that small businesses don't crumble and totally collapse the economy. But I don't want to say it's not enough, because there's the programs that they're putting out should in theory be able to keep everyone afloat. The problem is what are the long-term effects of that? If anyone thinks that we had $3 trillion laying around in an account somewhere to say, all right, well, we're going to dip into our rainy day fund, we're all going to pay for this somehow, even if it's over the next 10 years, based on different tax laws and everything else that's going to happen, we're all going to pay for it somehow. Yes. So that's what I'm more concerned about, is what are the long-term effects? Because it's going to change the models of a lot of businesses.
Just everything in general, man. I mean, everything's looking. The unknown is terrifying. You start to think of how the economy was doing before this, right? And then you look at people that are looking to retire, and they're sitting there watching their 401k right now, looking like, oh shit. I work with these guys that are, their early 60s right now, that are just every day. Oh, you guys, they're looking at everything. They're like, well, I guess I got to work another 15 years now because I got to get, it's like, I mean,
it'll bounce back.
It's rough because, I mean, we could bounce back. We're young. So it just
well,
sucks,
but we were even talking with Raj about that, the Zoom call that we did with them. And even if you're in your 60s, I mean, your money's still staying in your account. Right? It's not like you take it all out when you retire. They're still going to be buying,
but there are people that are freaking out that were just jumping out.
No one likes no one likes to see loss, right? Even if it's not realized. No one likes to see even the theory of, oh shoot, on paper I just lost all this money. I mean, that sucks. You'd certainly rather have it the other way. It's hey, I gained, but it's just not the situation that we're in.
Yeah, you don't want to bail because, I mean, they're still going to be buying and everything. So it's just crazy to think of. We just don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the market's going to do. Right now, the unemployment obviously is like what, at like 15% or something like that, which is,
I think it's higher than that, isn't it?
isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I thought I heard.
I think it's
Because I mean, what was 2008? Like 22% was like when the housing market
Are
crashed.
you
Like,
saying before this?
No, I'm saying right now.
Oh, right now. No, I think it's a lot. I mean, I guess I don't know.
I thought they said 15% the
Did
other day.
they?
I don't know. That's what I heard on.
That seems really low to me.
Probably people that have actually been able to issue for it that are like still trying to. You probably don't have all the
Yeah,
people.
maybe that's true.
Yeah, because I know Liz is still trying. Like she has been calling for 2 weeks every day, and she can't get through. Every single day she calls, and then tonight she got through to somebody like 5 minutes before they closed. The woman picked up and said, "Sorry, we're closed. We'll call you back tomorrow." I'm like, I don't think you even took your number down or your information. I'm like, you just got to keep calling again. So you can't get through. They're so overrun. They're behind.
They're understaffed, underpaid, Yeah, no one was prepared for this.
Yeah.
No.
Oh man, it's crazy.
But I just look at like the way that and I was never good with, whenever I got retirement stuff or whatever from work, and it was always the fidelities. I was like, okay, just whatever.
Yeah, you leave it up to the people that are running.
I think that one of my brothers is really good. Like he's really good at investing. And we've talked about, like now, I mean, I'm 45, so I legitimately have a good amount of time before I'm going to retire from work. God willing, everything working out. So I can still be aggressive in all the stuff that I buy and whatever. But I think, people like you were talking about, people that are in their 60s and whatever, hopefully a lot of those people that are looking at that time have already switched over to a more conservative way of investing, where it's like they're doing more growth stuff or consistent growth instead of it like, I'm either going to make a shit ton of money or I'm going to lose a shit ton of money.
Yeah, exactly.
So at least they're prepared for that, where you switch to a slow growth but consistent over, you could make a bunch of money.
It's risk reward stuff.
Yeah.
And again, this is that's Spanish to me. I don't understand all of it. I just hope that I'm making the right decision. But, I look at Fidelity. I look at my accounts every once in a while and just kind of go, but it's at the same time I go, I'm young enough now where if I keep doing and things are going to get better, they always do, and they rebound, I'll be in good shape. Just stay the course. There's no sense in panicking and trying to figure it, because it's not worth it for me to.
No, it's not worth it to sit there and watch it.
Well, here's the thing.
You're gonna kill yourself watching it, dude. It's gonna make you crazy.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing with that, and I use this in almost. I try and apply this to almost everything that I do in life. Is my outcome going to be any different after knowing this information?
Right.
So, like, I can look at the numbers. Am I going to do anything?
Yeah.
Am I even capable of doing anything?
Right.
And, like, in that scenario,
exactly.
the answer is no. So why stress myself out?
Unless you're somebody that's, like, aggressive investor.
Sure.
Like that,
if you're doing it on your own, you should absolutely be paying attention and doing all the research. If you're putting yourself in charge of all that, then yes, you 100% should be looking at it.
People do like small things and do random shit. Like right now, I think we should all buy stock in Boeing.
I have a lot of Boeing.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, you can buy that for nothing, and then
it's
gonna go back.
So that's my only. I have an account that I do some more high risk stuff and everything, and about 6 months ago, I bought a bunch of Boeing. And I'm down
right now.
I'm down like 64% on that.
Oh yeah, man!
Because it just keeps going down. But it's Boeing, right? It's gonna come back.
I'm looking at it right now. It's
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's it is. It's scary because again, especially in times like these when people are, for lack of a better term, bored. Like, what are you gonna do? Let me just check this out, and that's just. It's so scary, man. I think the best thing you can do right now is keep doing something constructive. If that's at home workouts or doing stuff with your kids, or like I'm getting some crazy projects done right now, just like keeping my hands and my mind busy.
And here's my question for you dads, for us dads. So right now is a great time to be getting those Air Monarchs grass stained.
I can't wait.
Yard work, baby, man.
I might do it
I was out in
tomorrow.
the yard. I mowed the lawn.
I saw that
yesterday. It was glorious.
I came home from work Friday, and I got home and Jody was off, and I was like, "Look, I'm just gonna get settled in. I want to go cut the grass." And she's like, "You want to cut the grass?" I'm like, "I absolutely want to cut the grass." And it was one of those things where like, it was like I was outside. I didn't feel like I had stuck. I could do that, and I'm not a big landscaper, but I want to get better at it. But that is something I just like cutting my grass. I don't know what it is.
I do too.
Like cutting grass, so it was something I was like, it just felt so good to do it. And the kids were running around the yard. They thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
They could be outside. It was one of those days where you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, we did that yesterday. I got the lawnmower out. Both my kids are so excited. They got their lawnmowers. My wife got a picture. They're both right next to me mowing the lawn.
It's really
and I got
good.
the leaf blower out. My son has like a little mini backpack blower that he puts on, and my other son's got a little weed whacker. They're following me around. I mean, it was fantastic. I was so happy to be out doing yard work. And the funny thing is, what made me want to do it even more is Liz sent me a picture on Thursday of my neighbor cutting the grass. And him and I always have these conversations across the street from each other, like, "Oh, lawn's looking pretty good over there," like.
You're gonna do mine next.
So Liz sends me the picture, and I send her a text back, and I'm like, "Damn it! Now I have to mow the lawn."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And his wife was yelling across the street today. She's like, Dan saw you out there with the leaf blower. He's like, "Oh, Steve's doing all your yard work today, so I guess I got to go back in the backyard and get some stuff done." So
that's awesome. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and cut mine tomorrow.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and I cleaned the garage out.
Oh, I gotta do that.
Oh, we actually did that earlier in the week, and it was nice because our neighbors across the street, they were walking around, and it's that same thing. It's like that suburbia thing where the neighbor's like, "Man, your garage looks really good." And you're like, that's such a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
But it's true. All those conversations.
I put some effort into it. I'm excited. I'm like, I'm going to spend more time in my garage now because it's clean.
Yeah.
It feels good, man.
Yeah.
So, also, my other neighbor told me today, from a distance, he's like, "So he's like, I see you doing all your yard work." He's like, "They're not picking up yard waste."
Oh,
I know. Yeah.
They're not picking up yard waste. Last week I got rid of a bunch of crap. I was throwing all the stuff at the curb. Came home from work that night and everything was still there. They're not picking up bulk stuff either. So I had a mattress and a box spring. I had all kinds of shit on the street.
I think they're doing that now. Like there's like, so I don't know how it is for your city but I know for mine, they were talking about like it's like once a month or whatever. They're doing something bulk pickup scheduled.
Okay, so I have to check
all
email.
that shit's like, yeah.
I was so pissed, man. I'm like, I gotta lug all this shit back into the garage, and I just cleaned out. Like, damn it! Like, I almost burn everything.
There you go.
But
I have a little patch of woods that's kind of like just in my backyard. So I'm like, I'll just move all that. I'll just cut the grass, and I bagged it because my son has allergies. So I'm like, I'll just bag it so he doesn't get freaked out. And I'm like, I'll just dump it back there, start a mulch pile in the back, and whatever. But yeah, it was good to just get out and do some shit like that. I told my wife this year, this is actually before all this stuff started, but I told her I wanted to do a garden. We've never done it at the new house, just to have some of that stuff that we can grow, and it's just more fun to do it.
Yeah.
Now it seems like an even better idea. I wish I could get a chicken coop for as much as I can.
I know, right?
True, man.
But yeah,
we're crushing eggs.
I think that's something you got to do as a father or whatever. You have to. I think that also shows your kids too that you're, let's not just sit around and like my wife is really good about, we give the kids more leeway with iPads and stuff like that, but they really like on the learning games too. And then they'll get off on the little videos and we're like, all right, rein that in a little bit. And my son with his Nintendo. But then she's like, all right, we're going to get up and we're going to do something, and we're going to do something physical. You're going to run around, you're going to do something around the house, or if it's raining, or you're going to go outside, and you have to, and we kick them out. And so I think you being outside doing that stuff, number one, I think kids just naturally gravitate to, they want to be out there. So they do, and then they keep themselves occupied, so they're not just sitting around doing stuff. So it's like one way to get them away from
Exactly. And
the being sedentary.
Exactly. It's exciting for them. Like, I love to watch them. Like, when I get the lawnmowers, they're like, they run and grab theirs. And Sam's like, you put gas in mine, which is actually bubbles. So I'm putting the bubbles, into their lawnmowers. And, like, I mean, to watch them get so excited about me going out to do yard work it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's something different, to get them to go out and run around for a while.
Sure.
It's like...
Well, it's so easy to become stagnant, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well, we're just going to do this for 15 minutes. And 15 minutes, TV for 15 minutes turns into 30 minutes. And now it's like, well, we're going to eat lunch soon. So
let's put this movie out.
And then all of a sudden you're just eating and watching TV all day long. And, you just can't let that happen.
Yeah, we've been taking a lot of walks.
Yeah, us too.
Even when, the weather's been relatively nice. It's been a little cooler. But even when it was cold, we're still taking walks because we have to get outside. It just sucks being stuck inside. Thank God, this isn't in January.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That'd be miserable.
On iPads and TV all day long.
That would have been miserable.
So much you can do. We try to do obstacle courses in our house. They can run around. There's room to run around, but it's, at the same time, it's like we got to get outside.
Right. Gotta get that vitamin D.
Got to get that D.
And speaking of that too, so even from a dad bod perspective, I guess, are you guys? What are you guys doing to fight that off? Are you, going for walks and stuff? But I think that's another challenge for people. Is and I heard, I hear a lot of people like, oh, the gym's closed, whatever. I'm like, well, there's options. There's things you got to try to figure things out. Everybody has to learn to be a little bit more creative. And,
sure.
For sure.
How they're addressing.
And there's a lot of stuff you can do.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of stuff about that. Like, there's these, personal trainers and people. They're like, your best workout equipment that you have is your body.
Absolutely.
And you could do anything with just yourself to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Now you could grab if you don't have weights or something, or get a backpack and just fill it up and do squats or lunges or do push-ups, whatever you can do around the house, just kind of, because I don't have any weights here. Like, Anthony, I know you have a nice workout spot in your basement. You have your weights and everything. You have all the stuff, your equipment. I don't have. Liz has her weights here and they're up to 10 pounds. So for me, I used to go to the gym in the morning before work, and that's where I'd go lift. And now that I haven't been in the gym for 2.5 weeks, I haven't lifted at all. I've actually gotten pretty lazy, I'll be honest. I need to work out.
I think one of the things that I've learned before all this even started was, I was always a big fan of calisthenics and anything body weight, and then learning the variations of how you can change an angle or change whether it's one leg versus two legs or however you do it can make all the difference. And you don't need weight. You can still build muscle. You can still, keep yourself in shape and whatever by doing certain things like that. It's a matter of finding. And I think the neat thing about now that a lot of people that I found is there's a lot more resources because people know that more people are home, and you have more. Like Beachbody has a thing where you could do 14 days.
That's what Liz has. She has this Beachbody program that she does every day, and she's watching. She's like,
I did one that I did. I used to have when I bought this one called Body Beast, and I swear to God, this guy, his name is Sagi, and I don't know. I think he's from Israel. He's huge. And it's all about, it's all about bulking. And that's why I bought it originally years ago. And I'm like, you know what, for shits and giggles today, I'm going to watch this one. Cause it's usually funny. Cause it's like listening to Arnold talk. He's got these really goofy ass comments that he makes in the middle of working out. And I did it and it really, kicked my ass a little bit, but it was just having that, or I know I've seen a lot of people that are trainers that if you follow them on Instagram, that are posting workouts.
Yeah, I heard that.
You can and it's a full-blown workout. They're posting everything. I know there's a couple CrossFit gyms around me that they're actually loaning out their equipment to people for enough to just do all their stuff, and you take it for the time and then you bring it back when everybody can come back to the gyms and stuff. So I think there's options. People have to do. It's like anything else.
find it.
You got to kind of do a little bit of work to figure it out. But
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was saying earlier, maybe before we started this, was, I've been doing some of these big projects and what I would call extreme manual labor. And my back and my knees and everything else have never been so sore just from doing things I just haven't done, quite frankly, in a long time. And I feel like I've actually probably been even more so, like at least from a time perspective, been more active. My big problem is diet right now, man.
Yeah.
Like,
diet's tough, man.
That's a
I've
big problem
eaten
any other time,
so
and
much
now it's
frozen
even worse.
pizza, and like it's been bad,
We had
dude.
DiGiorno for dinner, like,
And then
on Tuesday we
drinking,
got pizza.
like
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough to stay in shape, but the nice thing is at work we have this program that we do. It's called like Step Up to, I don't even know what the hell it's called, but it's a competition. Like it's a constant competition for people to try to get steps, right? So it's like for the month of March, we did March Madness. We had teams of 4, and they had a whole bracket system and everything. And like this past weekend, we were in the finals for it. And it's me and like Jason, Anthony, you know him, and then 2 other guys in my office who are both like in their late 50s. And we ended up coming in 3rd place. For steps, like I was out walking and jogging probably 3 times a day, like just getting, probably 8 miles in a day, just walking the dog or just, you know what I mean? Like, so that was keeping me active, which was really nice. So it's nice that we have that program at work because that really keeps me into it.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, so I know we did the on the Suburban Dad Tribe Facebook page. We were doing the transformation challenge, and that kind of got a little derailed. But I was actually talking to Mike Semick when I did the last podcast. We were talking about ideas for future things to keep everybody kind of engaged. And the one thing we thought about was starting something on a new challenge where it's like, okay, so I was going to call it the 100-mile challenge, but it's basically you log mileage, and it can be any way you do it. So it's running, walking. It has to be something you do outside of just normal day activities.
Yeah.
Running, walking, biking, rowing, whatever you do where you can track it. And then there's an equation that built up. So if you're running, that's not exactly
curls, man.
If you're running,
I had to ask the question.
So for every mile you run, that's a mile you get credit for. Well, so like for biking, it's a 2-to-1. So for every 2 miles you bike, you get 1 mile credit.
Okay.
And then we just do it for a whole month, and then get everybody challenged and say, okay, by the end of the month, let's just see who's got the most miles. You could do it for bragging rights, or you could, like we were talking about, put money in or whatever, where it's like you just challenge everybody to give someone some motivation. I think that's the thing right now, is just finding some motivation to keep people.
I love it, man.
I like that, and I kind of like combining that with what Steve does at work and having teams. Like, even if it's just a buddy system or whatever, because then you're accountable to somebody else.
Yeah.
That would be kind
We'd
of
have
cool.
to find a program to do that. I mean, I could.
Well, I know, like I did. I use the Strava app, which I know works with a lot of different ones. So there's apps out there that you can do where it's biking. You can do the different apps on it. And Mike, the guy I was talking to, he did one for because he has something called Be Active Tuesdays, where he started it in his group, and he just pushed, and it's more for running. But he worked with somebody that did with an app that was tracking. So he's got more insights. That's what we're talking about. It should just, just give somebody some motivation. Just, hey, today I'm going to go ride. I mean, like the one day it was really nice, and I'm like, I want to ride the bike. Like I do the Peloton, which is great, but it was so nice outside. I'm like, I cannot sit inside. I have to get on this and bike. And I rode 9 miles, which is longer than I've ridden in a while, even on doing the Peloton stuff. But it just felt so good to be outside.
Yeah.
I just had my headphones on and I just didn't care.
I did a run the other day outside, and it was
excited about being
great.
outside. And I was, kind of kicked my ass a little bit too, but it was good.
We should talk about doing something like that, because I mean, there are apps out there where we could put something together and like do the team idea and try to get some type of competition. Because I mean, with the thing that we had with the weight loss challenge or the, you know, whatever we were doing, that was cool, man. It was, you know, I had some motivation.
We need to close that out.
Yeah, well, it seems like everybody decided to do the charity, so I have all the thing. I just have to, I probably have to talk to you, Ian, about just how to get in touch with them.
Yeah, we'll talk, because I know Tim
was asking about it.
Tim was asking me about it, and I've been so freaking busy and trying to manage everything.
Everything kind of got sidetracked, and it's understandable. And I was thinking about it today. I'm like, shit, I got to do so. Because I don't want anybody think that we're just, you know.
No, they think it's you, not us. Like,
yeah. Of course.
You did this.
Oh man.
He just wanted the money. Yeah.
It's all Anthony. No, that's cool. Yeah, we'll get together and we'll talk about how to do whatever we're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, and since the last weigh-in thing I sent you last week, Ian, I'm down another 3 pounds actually.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I just haven't been lifting, so I don't know if that's the muscle going away or what, but I've actually lost weight in the last 2 weeks.
All right.
Maybe it's because I've been walking and running
Probably.
a little bit, so.
Yeah.
I eat like shit, man. We got snacks.
Dude, we did movie night. So we did movie night last night, and so Chelsea was like, all right,
everybody did movie night.
Let's do a grocery pickup. I'm gonna give you the thing, and you order junk. I'm like, what? She goes, just get like some chips and some candy, and like we're just gonna have a movie night. We're gonna like put all the blankets and pillows in the living room. We're all gonna lay down, and it was awesome, right? And so, I mean, we had Doritos and we had Twizzlers, and like, I mean, it was like we watched the original Jumanji with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
It was about halfway through the movie. I'm like,
yeah,
my stomach was in knots.
Don't eat snacks.
I don't eat a lot of like sugar stuff. You know what I mean? Like I really don't. And so,
salties.
Yeah, I'm more of a salty guy. Like chips, I could probably eat a bag of chips and it wouldn't really affect me all that much. But eating M&Ms and Twizzlers, holy crap, dude! Like it was like, I don't know, halfway into the movie, I was like, this isn't good. I'm like trying to stretch out and like move a little bit. I'm like,
I'm gonna take a quick walk.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like I spend so much time telling the kids not to go through the pantry. I'm like yelling at them to get out of the pantry.
Oh, they're bored.
I'm sneaking in there like grabbing chips, almost like shoving like a handful of chips in my mouth. Out in here.
Oh my god! Every time I tell my kids to do something since we've been home, is just like, well, I'm very hungry. Like, okay, you're not very hungry.
Right. Sam's been doing that every night before bed.
Yeah.
I need a snack. I'm like, it's 9:00. You're not hungry. I'm starving. I'm like, okay.
My tummy hurts. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's funny. Sloan, man, she doesn't even like try and hide it though. And I was like, all right, well, if you're very hungry, what do you want? She goes, I want cake. I'm like, no, you're not having cake. I'm like, number one, there's no cake to be had. Right. Number two, if you were to have something, it wouldn't be cake. Like,
yeah. I always go. I'm like, if you want a snack right now, I'm like, I have some bell peppers cut up in the fridge. You could have a slice of a bell pepper. I'm like, all right. So they take one of those. I'm like, that's your snack.
I just tell them they can have water and crackers.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, I go into the kitchen and I just grab some more potato chips. I make myself some nachos. I'm like, you guys can't eat, and I'm over there.
We're adults. We can do this.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
man,
no food
awesome.
After dinner, and then I'm just snacking like crazy.
Yeah.
But, Anthony, give us a proud dad moment, a quarantine proud dad moment, because I think, part of the reason we like to do that is to highlight something good, right? And I think now more than ever, we were kind of talking about this earlier, is just highlighting the positive.
Well, my son Jax, who's 5, is he's as my wife calls him, he's a sweet boy. He's the one he's very empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And he it's a proud dad moment, but it's also kind of funny. My sister was telling me she was watching him, and my son has just been so attentive to my daughter now. Like he just wants to make sure that she's taken care of. So anytime he gets something, he's like, I'm gonna go give it to Emma. and he always brings stuff over. So he's really adjusted well to the whole,
Good.
being in there and trying to take care of his little brother and little sister. Like, he stepped up. But the one day, my daughter is just, she's in this phase where she's like, I don't want anybody to mess with me kind of thing. And he went over to her and he was going to offer her something. She's like, damn it, Jackson. And I'm like, she's like, oh, I said a daddy word. And my wife's like, yeah, a daddy word. I'm like, I wasn't exactly proud of that, but I was still proud of it.
Yeah,
I
100%.
mean,
Use it in the right context.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
Tell you
best.
what, this isn't a dad hack. This is a husband hack. If you guys want to try this, my buddy told me this. I'm still waiting for this to work. If you have an iPhone, I know for sure. There's a way you can shortcut their when they type certain things.
Oh yeah.
And like if they type "on my way" or whatever, and you could do substitutes. So I'm still waiting for this to work because now that I've done it, my wife hasn't done it at all. But normally whenever she's leaving work, she'll type "on my way," and I changed it to say "I have bad gas." So I'm just waiting for her to do it. But then I was like, "Oh shit! I hope she doesn't ever say that to people at work because she works with like all these doctors."
Like, okay.
Imagine her saying she's on her way to a meeting and they're like, "You have bad gas? Okay, fine."
That's awesome.
I think she's gonna be late
for you.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's definitely a that is a good dad hack though. I mean, that is a quarantine, gotta have fun with it. Let's lighten the mood, type of little prank. So I love
I will
that.
tell you, here's another one that I just thought of. It's a dad hack that I with my kids. So I took each of my two oldest, obviously, because they're real big on that now. They're so proud of the fact they can spell their names. So we have little letters for that we do spelling practice, whatever. So it was a spelling plus physical activity. So I had them stand at the bottom of my stairs, and I went up into their rooms and I hid their letters in their room. So I said, all right, here's the deal. You have to run up and you have to grab the J, come back down. Then you have the A, you have to spell your name, but you have to run up and get each letter and bring it back down. So not only are they spelling it, they have to make sure they spell it right, but they're also doing that at physical activity.
Yeah.
And
That's
that was
fantastic.
a game to see who could do it faster.
That's
so
awesome.
My son and the daughter competed, but it was like they were doing that. So you could do that even with more words as they're learning more words and stuff. So that was something that we played around with and we had fun. That was our fun day of like learning and spelling and actual physical activity. So,
dude, I love
that.
Get
creative with it because I mean, we have to do some type of learning, right? There's got to be some type of schooling going on with us. Right. So that's awesome. That's a great idea. I have to use that.
That's a really good one. I like that a lot. I'm definitely gonna try that out.
And for like the younger kids too, downloaded this app recently called Homer Learning or something like that, and it's good for like identifying letters and things like that. So
sight
it's like,
words.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty awesome. We've been using it. We're doing the free trial right now, and then it ends up being like $10 a month after that or something. But at the same time, it's something different, and it works though. Like my son's actually doing phenomenal with it, and there's all different activities, there's different levels, and so that's been pretty cool. So that's something to look into if you haven't seen that. I bet you there's all kinds of different apps you could use, like ABC Mouse.
Yeah, we do ABC Mouse. Both my kids love that. And it's funny, it's even though it's a video game, but we have the Jurassic World game on my PlayStation because my son loves dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So we'll play, and his big thing is he just loves identifying the dinosaurs. So today we're actually, we went over my in-laws' house, and they sat in their garage, and my kids drew on their sidewalk, on their driveway. So they were drawing stuff. So we were keeping our distance, but they got to see them, and they were talking. And my son was drawing these pictures, and he was identifying each of the dinosaurs. And the funny part was, he's like, yeah, this is a whatever. And my wife's like, is that really a dinosaur? I'm like, yeah, it actually is really a dinosaur. Like a Huangosaurus. Like he knew what it was.
Yeah.
Because we played the game.
Yeah, we all do.
So he drew the whole thing. And he's like, Daddy, what is that one that's got all the horns and it's got the spikes and it looks like a Stegosaurus? And I'm like, the Huangosaurus? He's like, yeah, that's that one. And my sister, or my wife was like, is that really even a dinosaur? I'm like, yeah, it is actually.
That's another proud dad moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, he loves it. That's the cool thing is when you see, that's our thing. Like we play the dinosaur game, and he loves it. And he gets a little obsessed with it, so we gotta scale it back a little bit. Like, I'm coming from work, and he's like, "Can we play it?" I'm like, all right, chill the fuck out. I just got home from work.
Yeah.
We can't get into this right now, but I think he does. You got to find ways to, right now especially, you got to find ways to kind of encourage them to learn.
Yeah.
Make it fun enough where they don't feel like you're pushing them to do it. I guess.
Right.
Exactly. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was a lot of good info right there.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm excited to try some of that stuff out. Like, especially the going up and down stairs to spell. I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one because
it was nice because it wasn't, both of them, they were so excited and proud that they put the letters and they got the right letters in the right order.
Right.
That's
so
cool.
And I guess as you learn more words, then you just, that's the thing. It's like, go spell this. And then
Yeah.
throw all the letters out there and they could just have to come back and do it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not bad for a social distancing podcast.
Exactly.
Not bad at all. It'll be nice to one day, guys, get into the studio together.
Well, now that I have the Road Podcaster, because you guys suckered me into buying that one. Once we get it done, we can do another My Dad Tried podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'd love to, man.
I can't wait to get back in studio. I
Yeah.
can't wait to do events. I can't wait to, do like meetups, like dad meetups. Like Steve and I, we were talking, this is probably months ago, like, all right, once the weather breaks this year, we're going to do some like meetups where people can bring their kids and like play kickball, or we'll just go to the park and, whatever, go fishing or, skip rocks or whatever it is,
Whatever.
I can't wait to do something like that, man. Like,
Can't wait,
I
man.
legit want to do, especially for the My Dad Tribe, to keep with the tribe theme and stuff, do what I was telling you guys about.
Yeah,
like,
the campfire
thing.
Yeah.
Just get like 5 or 6 guys together. We'll get the right people to get it recorded the right way, but it's just kind of like a tribal fire. Sit around and dad's just talking dad shit and have a little fun with
that'd
that.
be a lot of fun.
That would be awesome, man.
We could potentially do that now as long as like the seats were 6 feet apart.
6 feet apart. We'll tape it off right away.
You could do. I mean, we could just go to one of our patios. We could have the fire pit back there. We get some chairs. We can spread them out.
Yeah.
Right.
Just all enter the backyard at different times. Be like, all right, you come in.
Like the what's that? What the hell's that show with the island?
Oh yeah.
Survivor.
Survivor. Yeah.
Like, all right, stand behind the line back there.
Exactly.
All right, Anthony, come on.
Yes, please stand at your tape. And,
Go over there. At the Lysol, spray everything down.
No, this is a lot of fun.
I gotta say this. I know you got the Snapchat from me, but at work I'm sitting at my desk and I'm looking out my window, and there's a business across the street from me. And in the afternoon, there's like I don't know if it's like a second shift or something, but there's a sign company across the street, and I know they're staying open because they're doing a lot of signs for the hospitals and things like that. So there's this group of kids that come in every day at like 3:30. All right, and this car pulls in. And it's a Scion, a 2-door Scion. Ian, what was the one that you had? Like
TC.
TC. So it's a TC, small car. And I'm watching these kids, and one kid piles out, then another one. There's 6 kids in the Scion. And then they're all standing in the parking lot, like, talking to each other, like, on top of each other, like, like...
Dude, they were, like, dapping each other up, and...
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden the one kid pulls a little thing of Purell out of his pocket and gives all of them Purell. I'm like, you idiots, you were just sitting in a TC together.
Yeah.
Your hand sanitizer is going to do nothing at this point.
I'm give them credit for trying, I guess.
That's right.
I guess they tried. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting there recording them with my phone. I'm like, these fucking kids, man, there's no worries.
No, everybody, they think they're bulletproof now.
I do. And that's why Florida, New Orleans, with the Mardi Gras, spring break, all that shit.
Licking toilet seats, I guess that could be worse, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, God, I've seen the idiots. All right.
I mean, those people deserve it at this point. If you're going to do something that stupid, I'm sorry. I don't wish this on anybody, but shit. If you're going to do something that dumb.
You're trying to get it at that point.
Yeah, and that's fine. But again, it's not your own. You're not the only one that's taking or getting the consequences.
Right.
you're then taking it home to your family.
Right.
And then passing it everywhere else.
Right.
So, like we say all the time, be a good human.
Yes.
And just stay home and be smart.
Absolutely.
That's it. I'm dropping it. We're done on that.
Big Z, thanks so much, dude.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You know, it's not like we're not going to keep in
Absolutely.
touch. So, till the next time, tip my cap to you. Don't be a manatee.
Don't be a manatee.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll do it again soon, all right?
That sounds good.
All right, buddy.
All right, guys.
See ya. Peace. Wash your fucking hands.
Hey guys, if you love what you just heard or watched, and we know you did, do us a solid and hit that thumbs up. Share with your friends and throw us a comment, literally about anything. Your support legit keeps us going. Oh, and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. We really appreciate you.